Welcome to today's DB talk. This is Damai. Today, I'd like to invite Julian, our staff product manager in charge of database on international market. And we will talk another topic about PostgreSQL. So Julian, how about introduce yourself and share about what you will talk today?
Thank you, Damai. And hi, everyone. I'm Julian, and I'm currently working on Alibaba Cloud's intelligence for the database group. And I joined Alibaba Cloud in 2013. And before I joined Alibaba Cloud, I was a developer in the IBM DB2 on mainframe. And also I have some experience of working on the Hadoop big data system, such as HBase and Hive, something like that. And after I joined Alibaba Cloud, I was working on the database, data warehouse products like AnalyticDB. And also afterwards, I have working on the data lake related stuff. Okay. So today I have some opportunity to introduce our product like RDS PostgreSQL with high availability addition, and also some mechanism about read-only nodes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Julian. Now wait to listen to your talk here.
Okay, so let me show my screen. Okay. So actually, this picture shows the architecture of our RDS PostgreSQL high availability version, and also with the read-only nodes. And usually the customer will build their application on top of RDS PostgreSQL. They will choose the high availability edition to handle the high availability issue and also the disaster recovery. And in the high availability edition, the typical architecture is with the one primary instance and also the one secondary replica. And during the years, we put a lot of effort to enhance the high availability automatically switch over when some issue happen during the primary node, and the failover from the primary node to the secondary node will be automatically. Actually, you can build the high availability version yourself on ECS or something like that. But what the difference between our RDS PostgreSQL engine in terms of the high availability is that we have a lot of enhancement to automatically transfer the logical replication slots from the primary node to the secondary node. As you know that this kind of a logical replication slot data structure is some complicated when something happen during the switchover. So this kind of a switchover from the primary node to secondary is totally automatically. I think this is our key differentiator when you are using the RDS PostgreSQL high availability version comparing to the open source version of RDS PostgreSQL. Yeah.
So Julian, so you just talk about this high availability. So if I heard you correctly, that is automatically failover. So roughly how long it will take for this process? Because high availability is a very important enterprise feature for our customers.
Yeah. Yeah, very good question. Actually, we have a warm-up standby instance called a second replica, and we have a lot of detector application to monitoring the failure or some disaster in our data center, and also monitoring our RDS PostgreSQL instance. And when we are doing the synchronization, like we are relying on the open source mechanism called logical decoding. So this based on the Red Hat log, right? As you know. So also this kind of a data synchronization between the primary and to the secondary nodes is within the milliseconds. So when something happens or something wrong with the primary instance and we need a switch over, the switchover procedure is totally transparent to the application, and all the procedure is controlled within the 30 seconds. So all your application need to do is just to make sure your application have the reconnection mechanism in your code, right? When some like a JDBC or Python connection to the RDS PostgreSQL detects a connection disconnection. So you will try catch this kind of a disconnection exception and try to reconnect to the RDS PostgreSQL instance. So that will be okay. So this kind of your switch over procedure will be controlled within the 30 seconds. So very convenient for the application and easy for handling this kind of disaster recovery and the switch over from the primary node to the secondary node. Yeah.
If I'm a DBA, I definitely need this feature. I don't want I can call up at the middle of the night. So it's automatic fill over, definitely something I like to have. But I'm looking at the architecture design here. There's also something called the read-only replica. Will you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Actually, read-only node is also a lot of customers are using to offload their heavy read workload from the business critical write workload from the primary high availability cluster. So usually the customer will choose the cloud storage for the read-only nodes when they pull up a read-only instance attached to the high availability cluster. Yeah.
So I understand for a typical OLTP workload, that means the user will do one write and read many times of the same data. So with that, do you have a recommendation that how many of this read-only replica can be attached here? And what's the right design for that?
Yeah, okay. Very good question, because currently we RDS PostgreSQL support maximum 32 read-only nodes attached to a single primary high availability cluster. But actually, we recommend at least 2 read-only nodes when you are pulling up a read-only cluster attached to the primary cluster, because that we need to also have some high availability to your read-only node. So when you pull up 2 read-only nodes, and also you will get 2 read-only node connection string. And as you know that there is a lib called the libpq in the PostgreSQL. So you can write these 2 read-only node connection string in your application. So when one read-only node fail, it will be automatically load the balance to another read-only node. Also, this kind of a 2 read-only are active. So the libpq will handle the load balancing on top of these 2 read-only nodes. If you need more heavy read workloads, you will pull up even more read-only node to your read-only cluster, such as you can get maximum 32 read-only node attached to a primary cluster. So helping you to offload more heavy read workload in your business application. So it's very helpful for this kind of a heavy read workload business scenario. Yeah.
Thank you, Julian. So it looks like a very comprehensive cluster setup for PostgreSQL, but will that take a lot of effort, a lot of knowledge to set it up?
In today's demo, I will just show how easy that you can get the RDS PostgreSQL high availability cluster and also the read-only nodes cluster up with just a single Terraform script. So it will be totally automatically when you are trying to use this feature and pull up this kind of a cluster in minutes, and also very convenient to automatically pull up the cluster in a single Terraform script. And also I will show a application script and telling how you can set up this kind of a database accessing in your application in Python, in a Python script later.
Okay, sounds good. Let's get the ball rolling.
Okay. So in the demo, I will show how this demo works. So there are some steps. The first step is to run the Terraform script to provision cloud resources, including the ECS and the RDS PostgreSQL on your local computer. Then, after for a while, the cloud resources will be pulled up, as you can see on the RDS cloud. The second step, I will log on to the ECS The step 3 is to write a demo Python program as the demo application to access the RDS PostgreSQL database on the ECS. Okay, this is the Python demo script, the content. The first part is the database connection and the cursor to connect to the primary high availability instance. To access the primary high availability instance and the read-only instance, I will declare 2 database connection and a cursor respectively. The first one is to connect to the primary instance. The second one is to connect to the 2 read-only instance. Here you can see that I will put 2 read-only instance connection string here using the libpq to handle the load balancing and automatically fail over. And then I will try to run some statements. The first part is that I will drop the table and create table and insert 2 records and commit the data on the connection and cursor of the read-write connection to the primary high availability instance. Then I will just select the content from the table using the read-only connection and the read-only cursor. And finally, I will try to execute the create table on the read-only cursor. It will show that it will fail that telling you that you cannot execute the create table, insert, or update through the read-only connection on the read-only instance. Finally, I will run this Python program on the ECS to access the RDS PostgreSQL cluster to demonstrate the primary high availability instance and also the read-only instance. So let's see the Terraform scripts. It's very easy to declare the resources that you needed. So as you can see that this specifies the region, right? I will pull a cluster in the Hong Kong region, and you can also specify your access key and secret key here. And then this part is the zone in the region, and also the VPC and vSwitch resources. And also you need to declare the security group to ensure that your application on ECS can access your RDS PostgreSQL database, right? And this is the declaration of the ECS, right, instance. And as you can see that I will use a remote ECS provisioner to install the PostgreSQL client and also the Python and the libpq module for the Python connection to the PostgreSQL database. So it's very convenient using this kind of a remote ECS provisioner to provision the necessary module when you are pull up a ECS instance automatically. So it's very convenient here to using the remote ECS provisioner. And the following part is the RDS PostgreSQL cluster. So this is the primary instance, right? You can choose the instance type using the specification code and also the version. I'm using the RDS PostgreSQL version 14, and also declare the instance storage on the cloud SSD. And in this demo, I will pull up another 2 read-only nodes, right? As I just mentioned before, and to ensure the read-only node high availability, right? Okay, so you can also specify the specification of the read-only node instance. And in the application, and I will also automatically declare the database and also the database account here. As you can see that I specify the default username and password in the Terraform script. And also you can modify accordingly when you are using this single Terraform script. It's very easy. And finally, I will also output all the important connection information when the Terraform scripts execution finished. And then you will get all this kind of a connection information in the output, okay? First, let me execute the Terraform applied to provision the cloud resources, including the ECS and the RDS PostgreSQL instances. This should take some while for the Terraform script execution finished. The Terraform execute finished, and all the resources has been provisioned successfully. Let's log on to the ECS. And on the ECS, I will run a Python script to show how to connect our RDS PostgreSQL primary instance and also the read-only cluster on the ECS, simulating your business application on the ECS to visit the database. Okay, so first, let's try to log on to the ECS. Okay, now we have log on, and I will create a PD demo script here. Okay, this is the demo application I have read before. So let me introduce this kind of application. I will use the PSY called PG2 Python module to simulate the business application to connect to the RDS PostgreSQL. And here is the part to for the function to close the DB connection. I will just define this function here. And there will be two connections. The first one is the ReadWrite connection to connect to the primary instance, as you can see here. And actually, you need to modify here to connect to the primary instance, right? So let me copy the primary instance connection string here. So this is the primary URL, as you can see. So let me copy this part. It's here. So you specify the username, password, and also the port. But by default, port is 5432. And also you need to specify the parameter during the connection. The target session attribute is read-write, right? Okay, so this connection string is trying to connect to the primary instance. So you can do the read-write request via this connection object. We call the connection RW, right? And the next one is a read-only connection. So as you can see that you can, because we have two read-only nodes, so you can specify these two read-only connection string in the parameter. Okay, this is just read-only node 1, and this is the read-only node 2, right? So when you declare here, and also specify the target session attribute is any, right? So actually the libpq will handle this read-only nodes load balancing and also the auto switch over from read-only node 1 to read-only node 2, and also the active load balancing mechanism when you do like this. Okay, so it's very convenient. And also this part is the query execution, right? So this part, I will try to do the create table and insert some data and commit in via the read-write connection to the primary instance, right? So, and then I will try to select the data out from this table using the read-only connection, right? So set this query request to the read-only instance while the read-only connection. So this cursor is while the read-write connection to the primary instance. So this cursor, the RO cursor, is getting from the read-only connection to the read-only nodes, right? So, okay, let's see how this the application executes and get the results. And then to verify that we cannot do the like a create table and also the insert updates, I will try to execute this statement. We call the create table while the read-only cursor. Suppose it will show an exception here to telling you that you cannot do the create table on the read-only nodes via the read-only connection string, right? Okay, I think that's for the application. So let's try to run this application. Okay, so let's review the application here. And it will show the recovery equal to false, means that the PG is not in the recovery mode, which means that it's in the read and write mode. And the second connection, the second part is the PG is in recovery mode, which means that it's in the read-only mode, right? You can see the output, the recovery equal to, the first one should be false, and time will show the current timestamp. And also the second one on the read-only node is a recovery equal to true. And the time is the time when you connect to the read-only node. And also we will output the data as we insert two records. The first one is a 1 and the second one is 2. So it will show the results. And then we execute the create table on the read-only connection. It will show exception. So let's see the output here. We can verify here that recovery equal to false, which means that it is not in the recovery mode, which is in the read-write mode. And the second connection to the read-only node, which means that recovery, the PostgreSQL is in the recovery equal to true in the recovery mode, which means that it's a read-only. And then we execute the query via the read-only two records, right? And when we try to execute the create table on the read-only connection, it will show the exception telling you that cannot create table in a read-only transaction. I think that's very easy. I have already shown a simple demo telling how to connect to our RDS PostgreSQL read-writing high availability cluster, primary node, and also the read-only cluster. It's very easy for you to start with the RDS PostgreSQL high availability edition and also the read-only cluster. I think that's all for my demo here.
Hey, Julian, hey, thank you for the demo. It looks straightforward, and I think some of our audience really love to try it out. Is there a way we can get the script?
We have put all our script on the GitHub, the GitHub Alibaba Cloud how-to repository, and you can access all the script and the demo source code on our GitHub repository.
Great. Then we will attach that link at the end of this video tutorial. And thank you very much, Julian. Appreciate you coming today to talk about PostgreSQL and demonstrate how to set up this enterprise level with high availability of PostgreSQL and also with the read and write split. Appreciate your time today. And that's all for today. And thank you for watching. And see you next time.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.